Trump in trouble? Well, if this poll is any indication, he certainly is. Hi, Dave from Informed America. Great to talk to you all on this Monday. New poll out shows Biden leading by 14 points, coming in at 55% support for Biden to just 41% for President Trump. Now, yes, yes, this is a CNN poll. So I can imagine your immediate reaction that, okay, this is coming from CNN, so forget about it, even despite the 14%. Now, of course, CNN is biased. We all know that. But it's not just the numbers themselves, the lead, but it's also about the trend. If you look to last month, Biden was up 51% to 46% for Trump, which doesn't sound that unreasonable. And this lead is completely blown up. Now, I would say it probably is an outlier, but the trend is important. If you start seeing these big leads, it really is might just saying, some caution here that Trump could be in trouble. And I would say, if you were to ask me, 3 months ago or something, before the coronavirus hit or even during, if you were to say, is Trump going to be reelected? I would have said, yeah. And now, with between the pandemic and mass protests and a lot of anger out there, I would say I'm really not sure. I would say he is behind right now. And even supporters, at some point you might just say, look, we need something else because this has been a completely insane year, and that enthusiasm for the president just may not be there. Now, there's some of the polls here. Among conservatives, Trump is up 76 to 20%. And I think that once you get into the meat here, you might say, well, some of this is a little unbelievable. Among conservatives, that's a lot. 20% for Biden is pretty high. Now, moderates, this is where it really goes. Biden 62%, Trump 34%. Now, that's the part where I'd say, I don't know. Basically moderates, independents. I don't know how in this poll how they define it. That's a huge break for Biden, and I don't know that we'll actually see that in November. And then if going to liberals, Biden gets 92%, while Trump just gets 4%. Do you believe? Basically, guys, do you believe this? Do you believe this? Would you say that? Would you think who's winning right now? Is Biden up? Is Trump behind? Is Trump up? And if Biden is leading, is it how big is the lead now? Nationally, of course, 3-4% is probably what you would. 3%, 2%, 3%. That's sort of like what Hillary Clinton was leading Trump. And of course, it all comes down to the Electoral College. Now, if you think this poll is absolute garbage, that's okay, because another poll came out today. Because you don't trust CNN, there was a Zogby poll showing them tied at 46%. Now, Zogby is right-leaning, and I think, truth be told, maybe is not one of the more reliable polls. So it is one of those coming out, though. If you aren't believing it, 46%. Leroy Comstock says Trump 2020. What do you guys think? Has Trump's, all of you listening right now, let me know, is Trump's stock fallen with all this stuff going on between the coronavirus and the and all this mass protesting? Can he? I think he's in a bit of a hole, and he has to get himself out. Now, of course, it is only early June, and we're really, Trump, he's a fighter, right? He's more of a he's maybe even better when he's trying to do a comeback or something like that. Now, I think we're going to see infections and deaths spike, and I think they're going to try to lock things down again. I don't know if we're going to cooperate, but the lockdowns seem to really help Biden, and it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt Trump because he wants to do the rallies, he wants to tour the country and get enthusiasm up. But if there are restrictions on large gatherings, then he can't have a rally. Alan Carter says, "Dream on." There was also a poll up from Michigan showing Biden up 53% for Biden, 41% for Trump. This one comes from Epic MRA poll. I don't know. I'm not familiar with that one, so I can't comment either way. That's not one that I've heard of. So they may be reliable, they may not be. But Trump should be. He wants Wisconsin. He wants Pennsylvania. He wants. They say Minnesota may have been in play. We'll see what's going on now basically the epicenter of these mass protests. Michigan, is that in play or is it not? Or is Biden gonna run away with it? It's hard to say. So we get another comment here from J. Allen Hensley. No way I'm part of the silent majority. All right, there is a silent majority out there, Jay. But will they show up in November? How many of them will show up in November to the polls, and especially in those key battleground states. It's hard to know, right? Because people like Jay aren't out there on the streets. We know how most of the people who are protesting are going to vote, but we don't know how the people that are sitting home are going to vote. Jay continues, BS pollsters. Well, yes, Jay, it was CNN, and I admit it is. It's hard you can't believe anything coming out of CNN. But again, it is about the trend, not necessarily. I would assume any poll that comes out of CNN is gonna cook the numbers a little bit towards the Democrats, but. That's a big number, though. That 14% is big. And if you continue to see polls like this come out, not just from CNN, but from other places, it would be. I would think the president would be worried. But so far, it seems like none of you guys are too worried. But, it's not. I don't say this as a warning, but just be aware of it. And going back to our conversation on Friday, how does that national divorce sound again? If things don't go the way you want in November, how does that peaceful separation look again? We had a comment here before the video started. Liz Halson says, same polls that had Clinton up by 90% or so. I don't put faith in many polls. And Gail Black just replied with a rolling on the floor laughing emoji. So I don't think you guys are buying it. But I would just, before I get out of here, keep the conversation going in the comment section here. I appreciate you all watching and commenting. Think about it. This is a bit of a low point, I think, for the president right now, because there's just so much crap out there in the world, and there could be. It's gonna come down to people like Jay Hensley, that silent majority, the people who don't support things like defund or abolish the police, who don't want to see our streets erupting into chaos. But just the question is, how many of them are there, and how many of them will show up? All right, thanks, guys, for watching. And remember to head on over to informedamerican.com, where you can get real smart news in your inbox every single day by subscribing. Thank you all for watching.